So there is a deliberate effort to take infrastructure as a strategic investment, but also to make sure that we invest in it because it becomes the lifeline of economic growth.
November 1999, at the Sheikh Amri Abeid Stadium in Arusha, the presidents of the Republic of Kenya, Uganda, and the United Republic of Tanzania signed the treaty for the establishment of the East African Community, and on 7th July 2000, the treaty came into force. The republics of Burundi, Rwanda, and South Sudan were later admitted as new members of the community, increasing the membership from the original 3 to 6 partner states. The bloc is home to an estimated population of 177 million and a combined annual GDP of $193 billion as at the year 2019. Today, East African Community is the fastest growing regional economic bloc in Africa, with an expansive market, a hardworking and youthful population, enormous development supportive resources, including productive land, a vibrant tourism sector, rapid industrialization, an emerging oil and gas sector, precious minerals, and an attractive environment for investment.
We engage based on 4 pillars of regional integration. The first pillar is customs union, the second one is common market protocol, monetary union, and of course political federation.
Over the years, East African Community has continued to improve facilitation of movement of persons as well as goods and services across the region. A total of 17 key priority infrastructure projects in the areas of transport, cross-border operations, energy, and ICT aimed at deepening integration have been identified out of an approved set of 286 projects by the various EAC heads of state joint retreats on infrastructure financing and development over the years, the most recent one being of 2018.
The total required investment to implement these projects was about $78 billion for the next 10 years and beyond.
I see this as a deliberate and strategic effort by the heads of states to make East Africa, within East Africa, partnership within East Africa, very connected, interconnected, but also East Africa very much connected to the rest of the world. And the idea is that people should be able to move from wherever they are conveniently and reach their next destination with ease.
In support of intra-regional trade in East Africa, a key priority has been modernization and expansion of the key East African coastal ports of Mombasa and Dar es Salaam, where 90% of international trade volumes are transacted.
By 2012, Dar es Salaam port could only manage to handle 13 million tons a year, and that is stored capacity by then. But within 1 decade, the modernization and expansion of Dar es Salaam port, for instance, has enabled it to go to the capacity of handling 30 million tons, which is over 130% increase within 1 decade, which is, I'm sure, one of the significant records across the globe.
Over the last 5 years, the Mombasa cargo volumes throughput performance has steadily grown with a compound annual rate of 5.7% from 27.36 million tons in 2016 to 34.12 million tons in 2020. Transit has grown from 7.749 million tons in 2016 to 10.171 million tons in 2020. Railway lines have been revamped and built all the way to the 2 ports to ensure seamless freight transport. With the region's economy still growing, there is cooperation towards investing in newer facilities in the port's infrastructure. At the same time, East African Community partner states have become more and more interconnected through regional rail and road infrastructure along the northern and central transport corridors, making it easier for business operators to transport goods across the borders.
If we adopted the railway systems and revived it and also implemented the master plan, we would grow our economies to a level of 7.5 to 8% per annum. And this will change what we call the per capita income of most of the East African members, communities, and their people.
For SGR, it's much faster. Also, I think it's much cheaper because traveling from here to Mombasa using a bus, it's about 1,800 bob, while using SGR, it's 1,000 bob. Now, saving 800, it's a lot.
I'm happy I'm going to celebrate my birthday at Mombasa, and I chose SGR as my means of transport because one, it's secure, it's safe, it's convenient. I'm looking forward to have a ride on it.
Average transport costs for a 20-foot container from Mombasa to Kampala has fallen by about 30% from $2.9 per kilometer in 2010 to $2.1 per kilometer in 2020, and Mombasa to Kigali has reduced by about 50% from $3.9 per kilometer in 2010 to $2 per kilometer in 2020. While this is a substantial milestone, there is need to still bring these costs of trade further lower by way of extending the SGR to the borders of Uganda, South Sudan, and subsequently to Rwanda. The ongoing construction of the government-funded Tanzania Standard Gauge Railway, which is part of the region's central corridor, will be linking the country to the neighboring Uganda and Rwanda, and through these two, to Burundi and DRC Congo as part of the East Africa Railway Master Plan.
To make it much more easier for these countries to be able to do business within East Africa, but also improve the lives of people within East Africa. As a country, we have to develop a much more reliable, efficient transport. If you go to retail, 40% of what you pay as a final consumer is 40% is for the logistic cost. So if you're able to cut maybe 50% or 40% of logistic cost, you improve a lot in terms of the price to the final consumer.
Each freight train, traveling at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour, is expected to transport up to 10,000 tons, equivalent to 500 truckloads at one trip. Uganda Railways Corporation has embarked on an ambitious railroad revamping exercise in an effort to fast-track development and spur trade. To further ease movements of persons and goods, enhance cross-border connectivity, improve trade and commercial activity on these corridors, and improve citizens' urban mobility, several kilometers of new roads have been built, with others being upgraded across the various partner states, within the cities and across the borders.
Hapo nyuma tulikuwa na shida sana kwa barabara, lakini kwa sababu kuna barabara ilikuwa inatoka Voi mpaka Taveta ilikuwa mbaya sana. Na wakati iliwekwa lami, saa hii inakuwa tu ni 1 hour from Voi to Taveta. Alafu kama tungeweza barabara kutoka Tanzania side mpaka Rusumo border, kama inaweza kutengenezwa vile hii ya Voi imetengenezwa, kazi ingekuwa rahisi sana.
The basic thing about the road network and basically transport communication is to render our economy more competitive, compared to any other region in the world. And that is what we are endeavoring to do.
We've implemented, for example, the Arusha-Namanga Athi River Road Project, which was the first multinational road project to be implemented in the region. We have had a number of other multinational road projects which are under implementation. You have the Malindi to Bagamoyo Coastal Corridor. We also have the Central Corridor multinational road project which links Tanzania and Burundi, coming from Nyakanazi, Kasulu, Manyovu, and all the way to Bujumbura.
Lessons from the positive socio-economic impact of Tanzania's Dar es Salaam Bus Rapid Transit System Phase 1, now proceeding to Phase 2, first of a kind in the region, has motivated other partner states like Kenya to implement a similar model. Several modern ICT innovations, including high-speed weigh-in motion technology weigh bridges, have been integrated along the major transit corridors and are saving drivers time, reducing trucks' turnaround time, and also ensuring that the roads are properly maintained and offer return on investment in the long run.
We have around 55 fixed-way bridges, which every vehicle transporter should pass through to measure whether it's within the limits of the loading.
East African Community continues to cooperate in implementing the East African Trade and Transport Facilitation Project, conceptualized in 2006 as a component of the EAC Infrastructure Development Program. The introduction of the EAC passport allows East African Community citizens to travel freely to any EAC partner state without a visa. The 11 out of 15 completed and operational one-stop border posts along the various border points among the partner states, together with harmonized road transport regulations, have all eased movement of people, goods and services, thereby saving time, reducing transport costs as envisaged in the East African Community Common Market Protocol.
A day, we quantify that you are losing $100 a day. So multiply by how many days? So before the investment in infrastructure, some of the clearance at the border would take maximum of 7 days. Currently, we are talking about hours.
Back in 2009, that's about 12 years ago, the traffic at the border was about an average of 75 trucks a day. Many years later, this has grown about to 300 trucks a day. So that's about 3 times what it was 6 years ago.
Before, there was a multiple declarations in terms of the country where the goods are coming from, or maybe it is a crossing. And likewise, when it arrives at the border, it has also to undergo a fresh declaration. But now, with automations within the region, all our custom systems are interfaced. So this one, they are talking, they're exchanging data. This has also relatively reduced a significant time, a clearance time, as well as cost.
Integrating other infrastructure components within the transit corridors, including oil pipelines, air transport, telecommunication webs, and power generation and transmission lines, is providing an important appreciation of the integrated nature of the infrastructure sector in the region.
So the Rusumo is one of the East African power pool project. So we are going to pool that power into the local people around in Tanzania, the local people around in Rwanda, but also in Burundi. It gives us a very good lesson that we can implement such a project, an integrated project, which can also benefit the all participants, and in this case, the 3 countries.
Better infrastructure across the partner states means better access to markets by both small-scale and large-scale traders, and availability of goods and services at affordable rates across the board to the EAC citizens.
So if we have ease of movement across, and we have our ports being very efficient, no extraordinary costs that are being lumped onto the manufacturer, I mean, it means, better returns for the manufacturers. It also means we can pass the same benefits on to our consumers.
The success of Customs Union Protocol signed in March 2004 with objective of promoting the free movement of goods in East Africa builds on the same concept of integrated infrastructure and partner states' commitment to harmonizing regulations on non-trade tariff barriers. East African Community partner states are also harmonizing mobile calling and data tariffs across the region under the EAC Roaming Framework, or EAC One Network area, as directed by the Summit of EAC Heads of State. The East African Community Priority Infrastructure projects provide an opportunity for development finance institutions and the private sector to participate and invest in sectors with strong government commitments for success, with balanced risks and returns. While majority of these projects have been financed internally and externally, public-private partnerships and more funding from development partners will be key components to further the development of new, sustainable and competitive transport and trade infrastructure projects in the region.
We just now progressed to about 60% level on a PPP project going across the city of Nairobi, which we call the Nairobi Expressway. And this will be a toll road, purely and totally financed from private funds and the revenue accruing to the developer, again through cost recovery measures in form of tolling.
There is a paradigm shift. The role of government is to create a conducive environment for business sector to drive growth. Now, what government does is to ensure that the institutions, the legal framework are in place for private sector to do business. Both infrastructure, both business, it should be led by the private sector.
Currently, we have established a framework, our technical working group between the East African community and the East African Business Council, which is the apex body of the private sector in East Africa. And this network is meant to identify some gaps and see how we need to strengthen the role of private sector in engagements.
We continue to cooperate with other partner states on also improving our roads, the railway systems, the waterways, air transport. All this really to ensure that we have smooth movement of people and goods.
In the next 20 years, I see a very connected East Africa. I see an East Africa that is very easy to move, to operate in, and an East Africa that is very developed, possibly almost all of it moving to the middle income level because of infrastructure development.
While a lot has been accomplished over the years, funding gaps are evident, and more still needs to be done in various spheres, and support from development partners and public-private partnerships will be key to build more infrastructure. In the years ahead, East African Community will continue to build on the progress made so far, guided by the EAC Vision 2050, where all citizens enjoy sustainable socio-economic growth, poverty reduction, international and intra-regional trade facilitation, and deepened regional integration. East African Community, one people, one destiny.